Honesty moment. I almost always feel a little sting of I want to stay at home before I go to travel. And pretty much it's always down to this bit here. The hurdles of travel. There are things that make you stay on the couch. I need a habit to get past it. Autopilot myself to another jaw-droppingly good baguette. This one, stuffed with steak, bacon, cheese, and green capsicum. But when I went inside to pay, I saw that everyone was eating out not on the menu paella. Secret menu? It's about as local as you get. So I'm here in Majorca after about 10,000 ads of Rafa Nadal telling me to come.
Bienvenidos a Mallorca.
It's a bit cloudy, still lovely. Got half the equipment this time. Usually I'd have a steady cam and everything, but I'm just here to test out this thing, see how it looks, try some good food and get a bit of Airbnb feasting done. Mallorca is bigger than you think in time and in space. Layers of history and crammed with views. The result isn't a search for massive monuments or jaw-dropping nature. It's a look at the way people live, living in the view that we hunt for as travelers. So this is a little fishing village. It's probably saw by the previous shots. It's quite on the nose. I'm hoping that I can pick up some sort of fish here and sort of start the journey of collecting a few ingredients. This is always the most exciting part of an Airbnb feast, the discovery period. Look at this place, it's madness. Here, the sea is very obviously split between play and work, but ultimately the work is just a bridge to more play. Even in the off-season, the catch is impeccable. Blissfully tender octopus and potato with a punchy paprika, squid living its best fried life, and prawns rehomed in a garlicky sea of butter. And the whole thing followed with a dessert of crumble of history and views. Though by this point I was already thoroughly inspired, I was completely directionless in terms of what to get for food. And it comes down to resistance. How hard should I be working as a tourist to go get food to be acting like a local? Well, sometimes you've just got to do what locals would do in the same situation. You've got to go to the supermarket. Quiero tres butifarrón dolce, por favor. Gracias. But the mission here wasn't the main meal. This is just for breakfast. But before bed, a tour of the Airbnb. It seems like this was once a functioning single-family farmhouse. Since then, it's been bought, and I think there are 4 rooms to stay in. The setting feels like a complete isolation from everything. A short flight of stairs takes us inside, straight into a living room with only 2 lights but a reasonable open-plan kitchenette. This cabinet has everything, including extra portable electric hobs, sieves, and glorious white plates. Coffee pods, standard, then this induction hob, single burner, salt, oil, pepper, vinegar, and look, you can wash the dishes with a view. Microwave, I don't even have one of those. The fridge is bigger than mine at home too. The living area is just behind with an outdoor table and chairs, but indoors. But I like the exposed brick. It gives me a taste of what this was. More of the same in the bedroom, more brick, and those beams running through both rooms. So this stuff, this sobrassada, is quite spreadable. Look at the way it just oozes out. It just sort of comes out so softly. It's like dry and cured. So I'm thinking I'm gonna spread that. I'm gonna spread that on some bread. And then I'm gonna make a hot cold salsa, so I'm going to fry off a bit of this pepper and one of these onions, and then mix it together with some tomato, fresh tomato, and then just a simple bit of vinegar, a little bit of olive oil, and some salt and pepper, and it's going to go over top of the toast with the sobrassada on it. I think that's the sort of perfect breakfast to kick me off during the day.
Hello, Mona. I mistook you for a dream. The engine glows, and I guess you always seem to know. Hello.
So, from what I understand, the sausage itself is fairly paprika heavy. So I've tried to cut through it with some semi-cooked salsa on a bit of crunchy toast. Should be delicious. Hopefully I'll get a little bit of a vinegar kick too. There was no way that couldn't be good. We tore across the Mallorcan countryside and dove into the country's guts. This utter madness is one of a bunch of cave systems in the island, formed over thousands of years of dripping water. You see, kids, persistence pays off. Not satisfied with the pure majesty of it, this area and light show is deemed hell. It's not like a beautiful beach or a stunning mountain. It's the sort of place that sticks in your mind because it makes you feel tiny. Not necessarily in stature, but time. Nothing a good beach view won't cleanse, though. They're everywhere. Little breaks in the rocks that shroud time-softened beaches to admire. The tranquil moments fade, and the steady rhythm of the jackboots of time marching take over. Back to the supermarket. Not all supermarkets are created equal. I know this, and just because the language is different doesn't mean I can't pick up on the visual cues. A small vegetable section gives me potatoes, aubergines, garlic and basil, a run of wine, some New Zealand salve, and a fish section at the back. White fish, fresh and frozen, prawns, squid tubes and langoustines to go with, well, you'll find out later. So as I was wandering through those Majorcan streets, I sort of found myself thinking about sausages of all things. How is it that most of humanity has figured out that if you stuff the meat of an animal into its own large intestine with a bunch of stuff, it's going to be delicious? Botifara is no exception. Pork, blood, herbs and spices stuffed into a large intestine. Sounds awful, actually delicious. Anyway, let's make this quick. Potatoes, boiled. Botifara and jamon seared off with garlic, onion and green peppers, and in a separate pan I actually caramelized aubergine and carrot and olive oil, with just a little dash of vinegar. The sausage and jamon leaves a gorgeous residue at the bottom of the pan, so I deglazed that with a good Kiwi white wine. That sauce really comes along nicely, and to it I added my caramelized carrots and aubergines. On top of that, a little bit of basil, and finally I got the squid, put that in first, gave it a good stir around, got it nice and tender, and then added in the softer meats, the stuff that cooks a little bit quicker. Now in an Airbnb, sometimes you got to have a little bit of a ingenuity spark. I used a sieve to press out my potatoes and added orange juice, and then plated it all up. A little bit of basil on top. Ultimately, it was an amazingly flavorful bite, deeply savory but with sweet accents from the wine and juice and a massive hit of the sea. Delicious but a little bit heavy. That ringleader is definitely the sausage. Sleep and then back on the road. The other side of Majorca is radically different. trees towering higher and higher as you climb further and further away from sea level. The breathtaking Mediterranean beauty takes on new form among transient and occasionally ferocious clouds. And then you're clear. But the journey continues. What comes beyond is some of the most fun I've ever had driving. The MA10, Sa Calobra, the Snake Road. A wild ride that starts by looping under itself before hairpinning back and forth, all the way down to sea level, where I finish at Cala Tuent. Behind the camera are just like these absolutely towering cliff faces. Heading out onto a very, very quiet rocky beach. Majorca's been interesting because it's sort of been like defying my expectations of what something that I thought was Spanish should be. It's just so much more varied than that. I love it. I suppose another interesting thing that I've sort of noticed is that like it's so old here, and you've got all this very, very consistently old but beautiful buildings everywhere. It's almost like they settled on a design and went, that's the one, and they stuck with it, because every town is just like this beautiful sort of like tan facade against a green backdrop. It's just like, they got it right. Also, one thing I really regret not taking with me is my polarizing filter. Glasses off, yeah, really nice. Glasses on, absolutely breathtaking. Think. On this side of the island, bad weather served to clear the streets of Dea and created some serious drama at Banyalbufar. This isn't even straight down. I can't bring myself to dangle a 2 grand camera all the way over the edge. And then the trip, just like that, it's over. Got to drive back to the airport, and I drive and I think about that feeling, that I want to stay at home feeling. And now I feel it, but I'm not home. It's just inertia. To travel, you've got to fight it.